Being here always weird. Start early.
Ms. Fritzen, you ready?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank
Right
you.
ahead.
Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building by mailing annual notice of regular meetings 2025 to the News Record and the Star Ledger in December of 2024, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Mr. Daffis,
Present.
Mr. DeLuca,
Here.
Sengel,
Here.
Thurman,
Here.
Mayor Adams.
Present.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public. And whereas Section 7A provides that the governing body has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting, and whereas desire of the governing body to comply with the provision of this act, at the same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee, Township of Maplewood, does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in the deliberations of the governing body by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observations of the actions and discussions of the governing body at all its regular and special meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Staffis,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca, Ms. Engel.
Yes.
Sermon.
Yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes, thank you. Please rise for a salute to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Maplewood Township Committee meeting on Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. Happy Black History Month, everyone. I'll just give a brief overview of what we were doing tonight. We have a proclamation for Black History Month. We have several appointments to boards and committees tonight. We have Maxwell Kravitz being appointed to the Maplewood Arts Council, Jesse Fryatt being appointed to the Recreation Advisory Committee, Kareen Stevens and Sam Daly being appointed to the Pool Advisory Committee, Esma Craze and Roxanne, that's a tough one. I'm not going to try it. I don't want to butcher it. You can yell it out if you want. Yeah, that Figatakis to the Youth Advisory Committee. Then we have Victor Gallo and Rujan Shen to the Environmental Advisory Committee. Then we will go into our Board of Health meeting. By the way, you can stay all night for the meeting if you like, or just for your appointments. But we have our Board of Health meeting after all those. And then after that, we have public comment for agenda items only. We have several ordinances on for introduction this evening, most of them related to Mr. Daffis's Committee of Code, which is zoning ordinance. So we'll be doing several ordinances on introduction on many things, including site plan exemption, office and business zoning, and I forget what that one is. Introduction on the and then we have a finance to appropriate municipal cap appropriation limits, establishing a cap at bank. So we have a few of those, but mostly zoning tonight. So reports from departments, we'll have administrative reports, Mr. Wary, Township Attorney, Jen Credidio, and Elizabeth Fritzen, our clerk. Elected official reports will come next, and Committee Member Engel, Deputy Mayor Herman, Committee Member DeLuca, Committee Member Daffis, and then I go last. Discussion items, we have 4 on for tonight. Authorization to apply for Sustainable Jersey Grant. Mr. DeLuca will lead that discussion. Amendments to the Environmental Advisory Committee ordinance. Ms. Engel will lead that discussion. Then we have recognizing firsts during both Black History and Women's History Months. And then the joint meeting, capital improvement assessment options. Mr. Wary will lead that. Then we will have our consent agenda, second public comment on any item, and then we will adjourn. And since we were all here till 9:30 or so last night for our budget hearing for 3.5 hours, we're hoping to zip this right along tonight. So with that, I will ask Mr. DeLuca to go down to the podium, if you will, and read our Black History Month proclamation.
Anyone who would like to join me up here, you're more than welcome.
Andrea, would you like to, as our cultural affairs?
Okay. So I will. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Andrea Teutli. I am the manager of arts and culture here at Maplewood Township.
And tonight I have the honor of reading the proclamation for Black History Month. As you may know, this has become a highly controversial topic in our country right now, even celebrating Black History Month. The Department of Defense, for example, has banned all celebration of Black History Month in the entire department. It's just, I think it's important for us to stay together and stick together and to continue to promote the value of diversity and inclusion and equity in our society and our community. So I think this proclamation, more than any other that we've done over the years, is really important. So I'll read this. Whereas every February, Black History Month is recognized to not only encourage the study of African American life and history, but also to act as a reminder that Black history is a part of the history of the United States of America. And whereas what began as a week recognizing Black history, championed by Dr. Carter G. Woodson and Minister Jesse E. Moreland in 1926, when they founded the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, it has evolved into a month back in 1976 after official recognition by then President Gerald Ford. And whereas the association presents a new theme, and the theme for 2025 is African Americans and labor. And whereas work, whether skilled, voluntary, or vocational, has always been at the heart of African American history, culture, and dignity, from Henry Blair, whose agricultural inventions in the 1830s transformed farming, to Marion Croak, whose video conferencing breakthroughs change how we communicate. Many of these people we never hear about, so that's why it's important to raise them. Alice Parker, a Morristown, New Jersey native who left a lasting mark in the early 1900s with her invention of natural gas-powered central heating system. Whereas through these industries, government, or public service, the legacy of African American labor has been nothing short of transformational, be it the struggles of post-Civil War sharecroppers or the leadership of labor figures like A. Philip Randolph. African Americans have fought against exploitation and discrimination while building vital community institutions. And whereas the impact of African Americans extends beyond paid labor, with shaping social justice movements, organizing for labor rights, and leaving a mark on cultural and architectural landmarks. Notably, 2025 marks the 100th anniversary of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters and Maids, the first African-American union chartered by the American Federation of Labor. The ongoing labor struggles exemplified by Philip Randolph, Bayard Rustin, Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, and Martin Luther King Jr. underscore the vital connection between economic justice and civil rights in American society. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Victor DeLuca, on behalf of Mayor Nancy Adams and the entire Maplewood Township Committee, highlight these important contributions during Black History Month and encourage the public to further educate themselves on the impact of African-American labor, its history, and its ongoing role in shaping our nation and the world. This is day 4 of Black History Month. And why don't you tell folks what we've done for the town and your division and let them know how they can find out more information.
Thank you. I was not prepared for this, but thank you for having me. Yes, we have many events that just kicked off this past weekend. We have an amazing exhibition at our Arts Center in 1978, the gallery. This exhibition will be open throughout the weekends if you'd like to visit from 2 to 4. And we have a whole series of very exciting events. So you're welcome to visit our website, Maplewood Arts and Culture. And under festivities, you can see Black History Month and you can see all the programming. So it's things that we're doing on our end of Maplewood Arts and Culture and also collaborating with South Orange and other organizations. So I'd love to see you there. Thank you.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To ask everyone to just please rise for a moment of silence this evening. The community of Maplewood and South Orange a week ago, last weekend, suddenly lost Carol Berry Austin. Carol was a very active member of our community, the Community Coalition on Race. There's her work and the examples that she set forth for all of us to be inclusive, accepting of everyone who is unlike ourselves, and just that the work of the Community Coalition has been instrumental in making Maplewood and South Orange the welcoming community that we are today. So I'd ask for a moment of silence for her. Thank you. All right, with that, we'll move into board and committee appointments. We have several tonight. The Maplewood Arts Council, Mr. Daffis.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have several board and committee appointments tonight, and I'm excited to start with the Maplewood Arts Council. I am the governing body liaison to the Maplewood Arts Council, and I'm really pleased to have a very enthusiastic young man here with us this evening, Mr. Maxwell Kravitz. He goes by Max. And we invite him up to the podium to tell us a little bit about who he is and why he's interested in serving on the Arts Council. Welcome, Max.
Thank you, Mr. Daffis, for the kind words. Hello, I'm Max Kravitz. I'm a lifelong Maplewood resident and a third-generation Soma resident on both sides of my family. So I have a lot of roots in this community. My grandparents, Roland and Esther Spiata, were residents of Maplewood for 67 years. They were patrons of the arts and active members of St. George's Church. And my grandparents on the other side, Howard and Esther Kravitz, were South Orange residents who founded one of the longest running performing arts schools in the area, Performers Theater Workshop. My parents continue to operate it today, and I also worked there planning logistics for performances with a focus on audio technology. During my time in high school, I started engaging with the community more. I volunteered at Maple Woodstock, spearheaded the creation of Beat Fest, which takes place at the Woodland, and served on the Maplewood Youth Advisory Committee. For the past 3 summers, I have worked as an audio technician at the Morris Museum for the Outdoor Back Deck concert series, and at Middle Tennessee State University, where I'm currently taking a gap semester from, I've been studying music business. Down in Tennessee, I have been an active member of the grassroots arts scene, organizing concerts, fundraising for student organizations, and running a show on our local college station, WMTS. All of these experiences really illustrated to me the importance of creating infrastructure in the arts for artists. I want to join the Maplewood Arts Council to serve our community, create more opportunities for young artists to engage, and help build up the infrastructure here for artists to flourish. In Maplewood, we have so many great spaces, such as the Bergdorf Center for the Performing Arts and the 1978 Arts Center. Yet when I speak to so many of my young adult friends, they have no idea what I'm talking about. Like, they didn't know that we have these spaces in our town. On the council, I would like to help create initiatives to increase awareness of these facilities and connect our young artists with the Division of Arts and Culture. I also want to help create plans to upgrade the technology in our facilities so that they can be better utilized by our community. I believe that upgrading our arts infrastructure can not only provide a service to the community, but also drive revenue to the township to further fund other initiatives in the arts. That's all I have to say, and thank you for your consideration.
That's a lot. Thank you, Max. Wait, don't go anywhere, Max. Are there any questions for Max?
No,
I told you he was enthusiastic,
Yes.
right? Incredible, right?
You did.
So with that, Mayor, then I wholeheartedly move the appointment of Max Kravitz on the Arts Council for a term that will end on 12/31/2027.
Second.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Engel?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, and I also had a radio show in college. WQSU, Susquehanna University. Yeah.
All right.
It was back with vinyl, so I had to cue it up.
Spotify.
Oh, see, that's no fun. That was the best part.
Thank you.
Thank you, Max, and congratulations.
No, it wasn't.
Congratulations.
All right, next we'll move on. Ms. Herman, you have someone for recreation advice?
Yes, I do. Jesse Fryatt is here. He is a junior at Columbia High School who has been actively involved in the community and a leader in his Boy Scout troop. He has participated in Maplewood recreation programming. He can share a little bit of this, I believe, ski club and a couple of sports as well. He originally applied for the Youth Advisory Committee and said that he did so because he wanted to give back and make a positive impact on our community, which I really love seeing. I believe as a youth resident, Jesse would bring a valuable perspective to the Recreation Advisory Committee, which doesn't currently have a youth voice. And so somebody who has especially taken part in some of our recreation programming and sports, he really has that wonderful perspective to bring. So with that, I would welcome Jesse to come up and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself. And
She already told us everything.
Yeah.
Tell us more stuff.
What's he gonna say?
Just hit all the points I had. Also, it's a pretty tough act to follow.
Right?
My name is Jesse. I'm a junior at Columbia High School. I've lived here my whole life. I've grown up playing soccer. I'm currently on the varsity soccer team for Columbia High School. I've basically played at every field Maplewood has to offer and South. So I feel like I'm well equipped to serve this community, give back. So, yeah.
Do you have a relative on the planning board by any chance?
Maybe.
Do you have a relative on the planning board?
I
Yeah, I thought so. Yes, I know.
thank you. With that, I move that we appoint Jesse Fryatt to the Recreation Advisory Committee.
I'll second that one as well.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
DeLuca?
Yes.
Spangle?
Yes.
Ms. Harmon?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, welcome. Thank you. for
Congrats,
stepping-
Jesse.
Deputy Mayor, we stick with you for Pool Advisory Committee.
Yes. So I'm really excited to introduce Corrine Stevens, who is already a Maplewood volunteer because she served for 3 years as a member of our Recreation Advisory Committee. And she participated in our new adult Learn to Swim class. And so as a new swimmer, I believe that Corrine would be have a really valuable perspective to us on the Pool Advisory Committee, which is the one that she has expressed an interest in joining. So I'd like to invite Corrine up to share a little bit about yourself and your experience in rec and pool and what you hope to bring to the pool committee.
Yeah, so, so I'm Stevens, I've lived in Maplewood for 12 years. So I recently served on the advisory committee. So I found that to be a really interesting experience, my first time really volunteering, but it was very informative in terms of how you can give back, in a way that is not too taxing where you can't really dedicate what you need to, but also a way that you can participate. So everybody can participate. Overwhelming in terms of time. But for the pool advisory committee, I thought that would be an interesting next step. As you mentioned, I am a new swimmer. I've been part of the pool, visiting and hanging out there for several years, and it definitely is a nice place for everybody to gather and together as a community. But this past summer, actually learning, and for the first time being in the deep end.
Yay.
I realize it's beyond just, it's also a place where people can learn things that are integral for safety as well as hanging out with community members. So I definitely want to help and offer whatever I can in terms of making sure that that remains a place for the community to gather and also learn and hopefully welcome more new swimmers, old and young.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we are very excited to have your perspective on the pool committee. And I move that we appoint Corrine Stevens to the pool advisory committee.
I'll second.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Spangle?
Yes.
Ms. Harmon?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations, Corinne.
One more.
We have
for
one
Pool
more.
Advisory.
Yep.
And Bailey.
And I have another one for, I can't keep going here. I am really excited to introduce Sam Daly. Sam is a junior in high school and a longtime member of the Maplewood Pool. And he's also active in his Boy Scout troop and in fact is working on an Eagle Scout project to benefit the pool and helping to expand, like make a teen area. And so I really think that, again, like in recreation, it's so important to have our youth voices and to have their perspective. And so I'm really excited that Sam is interested in joining the pool committee. Before I joined the Township Committee, I was a member of the pool committee, and we have never had, in probably the last decade, a youth member. So I'm really, really excited to add Sam to that board. So Sam, if you would come up and tell us a little bit about your experience going to the pool and what you hope to bring to the pool as a youth member.
I'm Sam. Like I said, I'm a 17-year-old, currently working on an Eagle project, planning on working with the Eagle project with the pool. I've been to the pool for the past 12 years. I learned how to swim at the pool. I have a lot of great memories from the pool. And I think it's just a really great place where the community can get together and swim. And, go to the snack bar. And I kind of hoping that as part of the pool advisory, I can do my part to make the pool even better than it already is, which will be hard, but also get teenagers who are kind of a what's a good word? I guess.
It's definitely an area that we're trying to reach.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about that.
I remember a lot of my friends And I have like really good memories from going to the pool, and to be really, what's the word? I'm trying to, a lot of, oh my God.
Okay, take your time. It's okay.
It's really a great place to kind of make memories, get exercise, swim, and just hang out. And I think if we can draw more people to the pool, more people get that experience.
That's a really good point, because that's something that we've been talking in the committee about. How do we get more families to keep coming to the pool as their kids get older? So I'm really excited to have that perspective and have Sam join the pool committee. So with that, I would like to move that we appoint Sam Daly to the Maplewood Pool Advisory Committee.
Second it.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
DeLuca?
Yes.
Sengel?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, thank you
Yeah.
very much. Committee member Engel, you have 2 appointments to Youth Advisory Committee.
Yeah, except Deputy Mayor Herman's doing such a good job, and she is with me on the Youth Advisory Committee. So you want to take those 2 as well, Ms. Herman?
Sure. I'll just keep going.
She's got bios.
Ms.
She's
Engel?
got bios. So
So I'm really excited about to introduce you to Esme Cryas. She is a 10th grader at Columbia High School, and Esme actually interned here in Maplewood Town Hall
Yep.
for our very own town clerk, Liz Fritzen. So when Esme applied for the Youth Advisory Committee, she said she wanted to be involved in local government because she believes it's important for youth, especially girls, to have a voice and to be able to speak up about their ideas. And so, I was inspired by reading her words about wanting to be that voice and give them a voice in government. So Esme, if you would like to come up and share a little bit about your experience interning. I think that you did a summer program in politics. You're very interested in learning about town government and joining the Youth Advisory Committee.
So yeah, I'm Esme Craze. I'm a 10th grader at Columbia High School. I did an internship with Miss Fritzen over the summer, and it was a really great experience. And she encouraged me to apply to Youth Advisory Committee. And so I took her advice and I applied. I also did a summer camp at Georgetown it was a law academy, and I also had a great experience. I really enjoyed it. And I thought this would be just another great experience. But I absolutely love Maplewood. I've lived here my whole life, and I want to be on the Youth Advisory Committee to improve it even more and to really make it just an even better place to live. And it's already great. But I also want my peers to feel the same way. I want to ensure that they feel that they have a great time living in Maplewood and they feel satisfied while living here. And so I want to make sure that they feel like their needs are prioritized and their opinions and their ideas matter and their voices are heard. And I want to be the voice for them. I want them to feel like they belong and are represented in this community.
Nice.
well said.
Thank
Did
you.
you do the residential brochure? Did you work on that?
Yes, I did.
Ah,
Yeah.
Yes.
Well done.
she used my desk, so you've got some eyes on my.
Yes.
I see.
So Esme, you're going to be sitting up here soon, right? Let's go. Come on.
Great. I let Ms. Herman introduce them, but I'll nominate Esme Crace for Youth Advisory Committee.
I'll
second.
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
DeLuca? Sengel?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, and thank you so much. Keep
Welcome
going. We
aboard,
need more
Esme.
women to Speak up. All
Welcome
right.
aboard.
And we have one more new applicant for the Youth Advisory Committee. I'm really excited to introduce Roxanne, Roxy, Bigotakis. Did I get it?
Yeah.
Roxy is in 7th grade at Maplewood Middle School, and so she would be the youngest and only middle school member of our Youth Advisory Committee. So I'm really, really proud of her for applying for this and stepping up to be a voice for her peers, which she actually said that as a member, she's a 7th grade representative on student government, and she's a softball player. And she said as being an athlete, she's learned how to be a team player and work well with others, which is so important in government. And she said in her application, and this, like, I really love this. She said she wants to join the Youth Advisory Committee because she cares about, she said, quote, "I care about my town and the people in it." So I'm really excited to have her voice on the committee. Roxy, would you come up and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Hello, my name is Roxanne Fikitakis, but I go by Roxy. I'm in 7th grade at Maplewood Middle School, and I'm 13 years old. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and then I moved here. And I'm on the student council for, I'm the 7th grade representative for Maplewood Middle School. And when I did student government, I really love like helping everyone in my grade, and I really love being able to like have a say in like what changes I can make and how we can like improve my school. So the youth organization committee, or yes,
Youth.
it's like a great way to help not only like my school, but all of the youth of like the Maplewood Township. So,
What position do you play?
I play center field.
Uh-huh. Okay. I played shortstop and third.
And any chance that Figotakis is Greek? Whoa, fellow Greek American here. So bravo, bravo, Roxy.
Yeah, I should have, if I had seen it before, I mean, I would have been like,
Yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful.
All right, so I will nominate Roxanne Figotakis to join the Youth Advisory Committee.
I second.
Mr. Daffis?
Absolutely, yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Engel?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
yes,
All
thank you
right.
so much for stepping up.
Congrats, Roxy.
Then, Mayor, Ms. Perez was asking, we have so many youth and it's so nice to see everybody in the audience. Can we get everyone for a photo?
I
Yeah.
would love that, yeah,
Max, you too, because I still think of you as a high schooler,
yeah.
always.
So we'll come down and we'll join you, is that okay?
Yeah, let's do all the
All the
young
appointees.
persons and all of our youth.
We have two more, those are reappointments?
They're not here.
And they're not here.
Well, after we do the picture, should we do it? Or no, or now?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do the picture.
Okay, as volunteers, you have to stay for the whole meeting.
Oh, yeah, the youth advisory members, you got to stay.
I know.
No, they're good. They're good.
It's a school day. It's a school night.
School night,
School night.
school
At least
school night
one
for all
meeting
of
a
us.
month.
Okay, just two more appointments and reappointments, I should say, to environmental advisory.
Yes, I would like
Michael.
to nominate Victor Gallo and Rujan Shen for reappointment to the Environmental Advisory Committee. Their terms expire. They are both active members. We have a great crew on Environmental Advisory Committee, and I highly recommend that they be reappointed.
Second.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks, Victor and Rujan. And we now move to our Board of Health meeting, and I'll turn it over to Committee Member Engel.
Thank you, Mayor. Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2025 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2024, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Mayor Adams?
Here.
Mr. Daffis?
Here.
DeLuca?
Here.
Ms. Herman?
Here.
Ms. Engel?
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public. And whereas Section 7 provides that the Board of Health has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting. And whereas desire the Maplewood Board of Health to comply with the provisions of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner. Now therefore be resolved by the Maplewood Board of Health of the Township of Maplewood that it does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in the deliberations of the Board of Health by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observations of the actions and discussions of the Board of Health at all its regular and special meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Adams? Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Herman?
Yes.
Ms. Engel?
Yes. I move to approve the Board of Health meeting minutes from January 7th, 2025.
Second.
Mayor Adams? Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Herman?
Yes.
Ms. Engel?
Yes. Now I turn things over to our health officer, Ms. Candace Davenport.
Evening, everyone. Okay, so we'll just move to the next slide to give our nursing report for the month of January. We had 7 reportable diseases that were investigated, 11 COVID-19 cases investigated, 1 flu homebound vaccination provided, and 10 immunization audits at our childcare and schools. Next slide talks about the free homebound COVID-19 vaccinations. If anyone is wanting to have a COVID vaccination for a homebound loved one or family member, please contact the Maplewood Health Department and we'll be happy to provide you with a resource that can provide that homebound COVID-19 vaccination. Next slide talks about our free COVID-19 test kits, which we still have available. Again, if people are preparing to see or visit family members who may be immunocompromised or elderly and would just like to get a test, if they're feeling unwell, feel free to stop by our Township Health Department and we can provide 2 per household. You can also order online at covidtest.gov for your free test kits as well. We have some good news. On January 24th, we had a pediatric COVID-19 vaccination clinic here at the Maplewood Community Center, and 15 children were vaccinated. So we were able to get that for them. Children's COVID vaccines are hard to find, so we were happy to provide that. Next slide talks about our Essex County provides the Vaccine for Children clinic sites. They've now expanded to 3 locations. So I just want to highlight they will be this Wednesday, tomorrow, they will be in Bloomfield. And then on February 19th, they will be in the new location in Orange. And February 26th, they are expanding also to Irvington. So residents can find a vaccine site for free vaccinations for children if you don't have health insurance at 3 different locations around the county each month. Next slide. Everyone has talked about and is very interested and concerned about the H5N1 avian flu. So we just want to let people know that while there have been recent confirmations of deaths in localized wild bird populations in parts of New Jersey, there have been no recent reports in domestic poultry or cattle and no human infections in this state. Currently, there are no confirmed human cases in New Jersey. So just want to make that clear. Moving to the next slide, which talks about the 3 organizations or departments in New Jersey that oversee the COVID-19 investigations and are following it closely for different reasons. So the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection is where you call if you encounter a sick or dead wild bird. You would call the DEP hotline at 877-WARN-DEP. At the State Health Department, we are monitoring seasonal flu activity, which continues to increase, and we're also monitoring hospitalizations of novel flu cases. So that is what we are doing at the Health Department. And the New Jersey Department of Agriculture tests for sick or dead domestic birds, and they should be reported to the Department of Agriculture at 609-671-6400. I also want to make mention that at the State Health Department, our state lab is the one who tests for any novel flu virus. So if you want more information about the H5N1 and all of the things that we are doing at the state level, you can go to www.nj.gov/H5N1. Some ways to reduce your risk of exposure to avian flu, if we ever have it in the birds in our area, is to, one, avoid direct contact with wild birds. And if you observe a wild dead bird or sick bird, please call the number as mentioned before. Avoid unprotected contact. So anyone who works with wildlife, works in a farm, works with poultry, they are told to wear proper PPE at this time. For consumers, please only eat or drink milk or dairy products made from pasteurized milk, and avoid feeding pets raw milk or dairy products. Raw or unpasteurized milk or dairy products can contain germs that can make people and the pets sick. And we've seen that happen in some cats in the United States where they were fed unpasteurized milk and they got very sick. Please cook poultry, eggs, and beef to the appropriate internal temperature before consumption, but I just want to emphasize that there is no risk, or the risk is very, very low for to find H5N1 in eggs or beef at this time. But we always encourage people to cook food to the proper temperature. And if you have any other questions, you can call us at the Health Department. We're happy to answer any questions. We're monitoring the situation very closely. Moving on to our environmental health and animal control services. So for the environmental health report from our staff for the month of January, we did 8 restaurant inspections, 9 food truck inspections, and 13 complaints were addressed. And we are beginning to do our inspections of all of those licensed, and everyone there is sending in their license for their annual licenses that are due for body art, massage and spa, childcare centers, dogs and cats and chickens, and retail food establishments and vape shops. Moving on to our animal control solutions, they are our town contract. For the months of July to December, which is when we started with them last year, Maplewood had 121 calls to animal control solutions. So that's in half a year. So that's a lot of phone calls. We had bites, both dog as well as bat bites. Cruelty and neglect cases were 4. They assisted with enforcement on 11 cases, and they addressed 25 stray animals and impounded 22, and provided shelter and these animals to a rescue group, 9 of them. Wildlife is our largest concern and addressed by Animal Control Solutions. So I just want to say thank you to them, but also know that this is what we pay for every month for their services. So for December, they had 13 calls, and as you can see, they broke it down by bites and enforcements. Next slide. Okay, so while our dog and cat licenses are now, we've met our deadline, and late fees would now apply if you're renewing. If you have a new pet, a dog or cat, you can still apply with no late fee. Currently, there are 88 cat licenses and 587 dog licenses, which is incredible because in 2024, we had 850 dog licenses and 100 cat licenses. So thank you to all the cat lovers out there. Moving on to our social services and mental health, our crisis intervention social workers have been busy for the month of January with 13 cases. 8 of those were new cases. 1 was a co-response with our PD, and 6 were clinical cases. Now, I had not, in recent months, been able to give you, until now, our partnership with the Jewish Family Services. We have a partnership with South Orange to provide a senior social worker, Renee Peters. From the months of July to September, so this was quarter three, she provided a slew of services to 47 Maplewood residents. That probably also includes their family members as well. So these are individuals plus their family members. So she provided information anywhere from transportation resources to SNAP to the SHIP program, affordable housing, coordinated with the Baird Center and the Soma Two Towns to provide activities, connected them to the County Division of Senior Services, Adult Protective Services they didn't contact, but Senior Freeze Program, Elder Care, home sharing. She contacted them with geriatricians, Krill Care, which is a food delivery system, and a whole bunch of other things, including mental health resources and consultation for caregiver services. I want to highlight that she gave a lot of resources for that. So always want to acknowledge the contributions of our caregivers. For the months of October to December, she provided services to 32 residents, again, for this roughly the same amount of and same types of resources and services here. The largest one was for affordable housing resources for the months of October to December. Sadly to say, the JFS senior social worker has moved on, and they're trying to find a replacement, so we hope to have those services continue once they find a new person. And lastly, we always want to emphasize our information on make the right call and have people call the right numbers when they need it. These are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week numbers for emergency services, mental health and suicide prevention crisis hotline at 988, social services, and poison control. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Health Officer Davenport. Any questions from my colleagues? For our
I
health
have
officer?
3.
Mr. Daffus.
Okay, here we go. Let's talk about H5N1, bird flu.
Yes.
Everyone is crazy about it. We've gotten emails and phone calls. Some people even said that they took pictures of clusters, I'm using their terminology, of dead birds that they found in our parks.
Right.
Let's start with the basics. You reported here that for wild birds, report sick or dead wild birds to DEP.
Yes.
Department of Environmental Protection. You noted where. We'll put that on our website or have our PIO do Tip Tuesdays or whatever. Get the message out, right? Now, so wild birds is DEP. Domestic birds is Department of Agriculture.
Yes, so if you're talking about a farm, like a poultry farm, or any one of us who has chicken coops here, that's what they mean by sick or dead domestic birds.
So the difference between wild birds and domestic birds
is that one is on a farm and taken care of by humans on a regular basis. Wild are encountered anywhere and not taken care of by any human.
Wonderful. You reported that, thank you. You reported on one of your slides that there have been confirmed diagnoses of bird flu in New Jersey, yes?
No. Let me see, hold on one second.
Not in humans, but...
Not in humans. Yeah, there are currently no confirmed human cases in New Jersey, but we are talking about birds. Yes, the birds have, we've identified avian flu in those.
Any
and in
here?
Wastewater as well.
Any here in Soma or MAPSO?
None.
That we know of?
That we know of, no. None that's been reported to us from the State Health Department, no.
Terrific. Thank you. Next point. What are you laughing at me for?
You're getting all lawyer. You're a
I'm
lawyer.
doing my job.
hat on.
Okay, so I read in the local press, this may have been the Village Green, that there is a crisis intervention social worker now in South Orange. Is that right?
That's correct.
Wonderful. Are we sharing the cost?
No.
Who's paying for them?
South Orange is paying directly to the Mental Health Association of Essex and Morris, and they're contracting that crisis social worker co-response service with them.
I see. Wonderful.
Mhm.
So they have that MHA
Yes.
affiliation like we did when we got started
Correct.
with our crisis intervention social
Right.
workers. But they are working with ours and they are overseen by yourself and our team.
They're collaborating with our crisis social workers, and they're working with the other ones that they found in West Orange, in Bloomfield. So they're creating a support system and collaboration among this new venture of social workers on crisis.
Great. That's wonderful. And then lastly, I've heard from a few seniors who are wondering if, and this may not be your department, there is some overlap here between you and community services. Seniors wanting to know about the senior tax freeze because, as you know, the program is expanding. It's going to be New Jersey stay, which is far more expansive in terms of eligibility requirements. Are we planning any sort of informational sessions to get that information out and help people apply?
Yes, so I can coordinate with the Department of Community Services as well as our SOMA 2 towns for all ages. They usually get that information a lot sooner and are the ones who coordinate the presentations. The last one we had, I believe, was earlier in the fall, and that was coordinated with, I believe it was Assemblywoman Hall's office. So they
Right.
helped to bring that together. We also hear about it from the Department of Disability Services. So as soon as we have that information, we're happy to share it. And we'll probably have another service program about it soon.
Great.
And Mr. Daffis, that has been done through our community service department, through our senior services, has been setting up those info sessions
Oh, yeah?
previously.
Okay, great. Terrific. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. DeLuca?
So Robert Kennedy is going to become the new
Aye.
Secretary of Health.
That's a
So I think we have to take this seriously
do.
because if the U.S. Department of Health puts out what he believes, they're going to contradict a lot of stuff that we've been talking about. So how are you going to handle that? Are you going to rely more on the state as opposed to the federal? How are you and your colleagues talking about this?
And is there a state director?
So we're
That might
just
count.
coming to grips with the fact that he will be confirmed and what that means. We're also coming to grips that for the past weekend, CDC, DHHS, and all of these other health-related federal programs have dropped off online. So there have been no online access to any of us. So for all of us who are doing research, for all of us who are preparing our presentations, we have no federal data. So we've been relying on the state data and, snapping images and screenshots. And that's where we are right now with where the federal government is with public health. So the state government, state health department in particular, has said that they will keep their services and their data as recent and current as possible. They're doing everything that they can to preserve the data and still can collect data on behalf of the state. But as for the federal government, we are still unknown as to what will come back when it comes back on live and when it will come back up, because they said it was going to come back earlier this week and it didn't. So I hope to, our goal is always to provide the township with the most current, accurate, and honest information as possible. So as we hear more about avian flu or any other issues, we will definitely bring it to your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? This is the point where we open it up to the public. So anybody here in Town Hall that would like to ask questions to Health Officer Davenport, you may join us now. No? Okay, and then Mr. Wary, will you help facilitate online?
If anyone on Zoom would like to address the Board of Health, please raise your hand now. And moving over, Ms. Joan Crystal to panelist. Ms. Crystal, welcome to the public portion. You may unmute yourself and address the Health Committee.
Thank you. I have a question for Candace. I understand that Renee Peters is leaving. Who can seniors contact in the meanwhile until a position is refilled if they have issues that you've normally been helping with?
Thanks, Joan. That's a great question. We reached out to JFS earlier this week, and they provided us with their interim caseworker. So they are going to continue to provide her while they find a new replacement for Renee, and so that there will be still a continuity of services for our SOMA residents. And you can call JFS directly.
And could you please tell us the phone number that they can call?
I don't have it on me right now, but if you call me tomorrow at 973-762-8120, my direct extension is 4400, and I'll be happy to get you that phone number. Or you could look it up online at Jewish Family Services.
I can look it up. I'm concerned for people who may be listening who don't have that information, so they can contact the health department.
Yep, happy to help them.
If anyone else on Zoom would like to speak to the Board of Health, please raise your hand now. I see no other hands.
Then I move to adjourn into our next scheduled meeting on Tuesday, March 4th, 2025.
Second.
Mayor Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Daffis.
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca.
Yes.
Ms. Herman,
Yes.
Ms. Engel.
Yes. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have no ordinances on for final passage, but we move to several ordinances on for introduction. Ms. Fritzen. What?
Comment?
Oh,
Oh,
did I
right.
skip it? Oh, I skipped right over it. My apologies. Public comment for agenda items only. So I open it up to the public in the room and on Zoom for any agenda comments you might have. Correct. So that's. No, that's okay. Go ahead. I'd send you to the CDC website, but Ms. Davenport was correct. It's not up.
It doesn't show
It
any.
says website is being modified to comply with President Trump's executive orders.
Ouch.
Sorry.
I sent a letter to all of you yesterday.
Will you identify yourself for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Euclid Avenue, Maplewood.
Mhm.
Sent you all a letter yesterday afternoon in relation to the Coalition on Race submittal for funding. And I want to read that letter into the record, and I have a second comment and an unrelated question. The mission of CCR says, actually the vision of CCR says, we aspire to be a community that is a model for the nation in which people of different races, ethnic groups, and backgrounds can interact, form friendships, and participate fully in the community's economic, political, civic, educational, and cultural life. While I respect and have always supported those goals, more recent events are concerning. As you are well aware, there was a problem at the MLK Day event at CHS on January 20th. The speaker was denigrating and dismissive of Israel and American Jews. Many people walked out. While CCR issued a vague apology, there was no effort that I'm aware of to rectify the situation. There is no indication that there was any discussion with the keynote speaker, Dr. Ambar of Rutgers, nor any indication that the misinformation presented was corrected at the high school. Students are young and impressionable, and unless corrected, they assume information is credible. For example, as follow-up, were students informed as to who Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel was and why he would be significant in discussions of MLK? Were students informed that there's now a ceasefire in Gaza and some Israeli, American, and Thai hostages were released? This is all CCR's responsibility. A number of people who attended requested a copy of the recording of the event as documentation of that which they witnessed. They were told the meeting recording was deleted. A person who attended the event added this event to the ongoing in-process school district Title VI complaint with the Federal and State Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights. if it exists tomorrow. You may not be aware that there have been other similar incidents. In May 2024, CCR presented an event that was hosted at Congregation Beth El in South Orange. It was a talk by Professor Kelly Harris of the Center for Africana Studies at the University of Pennsylvania. While the speaker presented some valuable background on disinformation as related to the history of African Americans, I learned in the second half of the lecture that Professor Harris had no issue promulgating anti-Semitic tropes and ironically had no problem presenting disinformation and anti-Semitic, anti-Israel comments regarding the, at the time, pro-Hamas protests and the war in Gaza. I was totally gobsmacked that he would present this information while standing in a synagogue, a Jewish house of worship. Many of us walked out of that CCR event as well. We were asked via email to provide feedback evaluations to CCR. I did that. In that evaluation, I even asked to have a group of concerned folks meet with CCR to engage in a discussion on the issues noted above. There was no follow-up and not any apology. We asked for a copy of the recording of the event. As well, we were told that, quote, there was a problem with taping the video, so it was unavailable. While the meeting was in progress, we saw a person constantly monitoring the recording equipment. So this is curious. Strange how this has happened twice now. In 2022, CCR had its 25th anniversary celebration. They presented SZA as the entertainment. SZA has posted anti-Israel, anti-Semitic rhetoric on her social media. I comment on this directly to CCR and ask that they not have this person at their event. I had no response. At the time, I didn't even know that SZA's family, with publicly anti-Semitic members, was part of the organization. I wrote to the Township Committee back then and questioned whether such an organization should have public funding. There was no reply from the TC. In sum, CCR has created a hostile environment where Jews do not feel welcome. One error of judgment might be considered a mistake, but I've provided 3 incidents as examples. This is unacceptable and counter to CCR's stated mission. My instinct was to ask you to defund CCR. However, as we all and I respect and support the original mission of CCR, I would recommend the following as a prerequisite for continued funding. CCR must meet with students and parents who were at the MLK event at CHS. Students must be presented with corrected information as noted above. This can be presented by CCR or by agreed upon guests, for example, a local rabbi or scholar. Otherwise, the damage that is done cannot be rectified. Maplewood must provide clear written criteria and expectation of CCR's programming, events, social media, etc. Maplewood must provide oversight, including vetting of board members, staff, speakers for events. Board members who express anti-Semitic or any other bigoted writing or behavior must be removed. Invited speakers must be made to understand that any type of bigoted or racist comments will not be accepted. Responding after the fact will not be accepted or funding will be in jeopardy. Loans that are being issued by CCR for one specific portion of the population must be separated from public funds, as this can be seen as discriminatory. We all know that anti-Semitism is not a desired outcome of CCR. The issues raised above, along with the venomous pro-Hamas rallies with no permits since October 7th, 2023, have made Jews in this town very uncomfortable. I don't believe that the Township of Maplewood supports any of that, and I ask you all to take these issues very seriously. If you have any comments, I'd like to hear them, and then I have one separate comment and a question.
Go ahead, hon.
Okay. Specifically, Dean, well, last night, while your heart was...
Excuse me, just 1 second. Please address him as Mr. Daffis or committee member.
Mr. Daffis.
Sorry, it's just
No, it's
decorum.
fine.
I work in a
You're-
town.
You're
that doesn't-
absolutely right, and we should be formal. Mr. Daffis, while your heart was in the right place, as always, I and some others were really shocked last night when you raised the idea of CCR taking on the task of fighting anti-Semitism. You referred to it as adopting the model of deconstructing racism, and you called it deconstructing anti-Semitism. While I'm always an advocate of the Black and Jewish communities engaging in a more positive way regarding anti-Semitism, at this time, CCR needs to clean its own house first. And this town needs to take very seriously the Title VI investigation of our school district. And if Maplewood seriously considers funding and establishing a program to fight anti-Semitism, that program should be coordinated directly with the Jewish community. It should be established with Jewish leaders, rabbis and scholars, and interested local Jewish individuals. There are many resources already in place for establishing such a program. The United States Holocaust Museum has education programs. The Brandeis Center in New York and our own local Metro West Jewish Federation could assist with programming. If you're serious about working on this, it must be done correctly. And I know there are those in the Jewish community who would step up to assist.
Noted.
Okay, now my last question, totally unrelated. We all saw the fires in Los Angeles, and we had fires here last summer. We live right below South Mountain Reservation, and I don't expect an answer tonight, but I wanted to know if there was something in process, whether these towns have been discussing preparedness and informing the public. What would happen if we had an extensive wildfire here?
Thank you, Ms. Fetzer. I will toss it over to Committee Member DeLuca because this was discussed at our SEFD meeting recently.
So the plan is that we implement mutual aid. The New Jersey Fire Service is the entity that will actually fight the fire in the reservation. Our responsibility and the surrounding towns, the responsibility is to provide water. So we would hook up hydrants on our streets and run hoses up to pumpers up there, and they would provide the water to the fire service. And then our responsibility is to protect structures. So we would create a baseline, protect the structures down the hill from the reservation while the fire service was actually fighting the fire.
And, you know, the quantity of water was a problem out there in California. Have we assessed that we actually have enough water?
Yeah, I don't think we have a problem with water. Yeah.
Thank you for that answer. Thank you for allowing me to go early.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Wary, could you check online to see if there's anyone for public comment agenda items?
If anyone joining on Zoom would like to speak in public portion on agenda items, please raise your hand now. I'm moving over Mr. Helkamp to panelist. Mr. Helkamp, welcome to public portion. You may unmute yourself and address the committee.
Thank you. Good evening. Dave Helmkamp, 571 Prospect Street. I wanted to just provide a couple of comments on the two of the four ordinances related to zoning and land use. The first is 3142 regarding the site plans. I was hoping on introduction that a committee member or our attorney could clarify why the planning board is not required to comment on this. I know it's courtesy review, but I didn't see the language in the ordinance that I understood that it wasn't required. And then regarding 3142 and also 3146, I would request that someone prepare a brief briefing for the planning board in writing as to the rationale, the pros and the cons, benefits or detriments as may apply to the changes that are proposed. I don't think that there's enough in the ordinance as written for them to understand what was discussed, I assume, in code committee regarding these changes.
Mr. Helmkamp, is that both on 3142-25?
And
Comment?
31 and also 3146 on parking.
Okay.
I can answer that.
Typically, the ordinances go to the planning board after we introduce. So,
The site.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I'm suggesting that whatever rationale, pro and con for these changes be available to the planning board before they convene.
okay. Ms. Credidio.
So with respect to the first question, site plan definition change. It doesn't constitute a development regulation within the meaning of that particular section of the municipal land use law, although it does not require, as a result, planning board evaluation for site plan, for planning master plan consistency. As a general matter, we still would like to send it to the planning board. Any thoughts that they have that they would like to transmit to us before final adoption obviously would be welcome. And we are planning on transmitting it together with the other development regulation ordinances that are before you tonight for introduction. With respect to the rationale for the other rezoning ordinances, these were drawn directly from recommendations in the master plan. Obviously, there was, some reference to the master plan language in the ordinances themselves, but the master plan speaks for itself. The planning board, I think, is very familiar with that document, it being so comprehensive and recent. But I'm sure that any further information that the planning board may require, we could certainly provide.
Right, and I will note that 2 members of the planning board are present at the code committee meetings for these discussions. So I think they're well aware. So, Mr.
If I could
Daff,
just follow up, thank you for the answer. If I could just follow up, I don't think the master plan discusses any pros or cons to the changes, or for that matter, it may not even address the rationale to begin with. It may just state as a recommendation. So I'll certainly go back and reread those sections. But I do think that the changes raise some questions that it would be great to have that background in front of the planning board. Thank you.
Can I get in there, Mayor?
Sure, just briefly.
Yes. So thank you for the question, Mr. Hellkamp. Actually, if you, as our attorney noted, the zoning changes are nearly word for word transfers from the master plan that we recently adopted last year, that you're very well aware of because you were actively engaged as an important stakeholder in the community during those sessions that resulted in that new master plan. But if you take a look, and I'm happy to work with you on this if you like, I can send you to the specific pages where the master plan document does provide context, does provide rationale, does provide reasoning. It does reason why we should reduce the highway business zone in certain areas, why we should consider this parking requirement in residential that we're making, why we should do what we're introducing tonight. So I would encourage you to reach out to us or to me if you like, and to go back to the master plan document, which is also available and searchable on our website in digital format if that's a little bit more convenient since it's a big document. And lastly, I will also note that, of course, when we send this over to the planning board, it will have the rationale that we noted this evening. And as the mayor noted, again, there are 2, both the chair and the vice chair of the planning board have been very close to this and these discussions. And the mayor and myself will be at the planning board to provide additional context during those hearings and reviews. And I think that covers your questions, I believe. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr.
It certainly does.
Mr.
Thank you.
Hellkamp, I'm sorry, we're not doing it back and
It
forth.
certainly does.
Sorry. Sorry. We're not doing it back and forth. He had 3 minutes to speak. We don't necessarily answer, and this can come up at the planning board. So anybody else on for public comment?
If anyone else would like to speak in public portion, please raise your hand now. I see no hands, Mayor.
Great, thank you, Mr. Wary. Ms. Fritzen, we'll move on to introduction of ordinance 3142-25.
Yes, Mayor, all on introduction this evening. Ordinance number 3142-25 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 271 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Zoning and Development Regulations with respect to site plan requirements. The interpretive statement is this ordinance will amend Article 5 zoning provisions of Chapter 271 of the Township Code to exempt certain interior building alterations and certain development subject to redevelopment plans from site plan approval requirements.
Okay, this ordinance can I get a motion on introduction?
I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on February 18th.
I'll second.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes. Next ordinance, 3143-25.
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance number 3143-25 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 271 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Zoning and Development Regulations to rezone certain properties within the Highway Business Zoning District. This ordinance will amend Article 5 zoning provisions of Chapter 271 of the Township Code to rezone certain properties currently in the Highway Business HB zoning district as to the R14 residential zoning district or the office business OB zoning district.
Thank you. Can I get a motion, Mr. Duffus?
Certainly, Mayor. I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on February 18th.
I'll second.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes. Next ordinance, 3144-25.
Yes, Mayor, also on introduction, 3144-25. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 271 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Zoning and Development Regulations with respect to the Research and Office Zoning District. This ordinance will amend Article 5 zoning provisions of Chapter 271 of the Township Code to eliminate the Research and Office RO zoning district and to include the subject property in the Highway Business HB zoning district.
Can I get a motion, Mr. Duffus?
Certainly, Mayor. I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on February 18th.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes. Next ordinance, 3145-25.
Yes, Mayor, also on introduction, ordinance number 3145-25, calendar year 2025, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank per NJSA 48-445.14.
I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on February 18th.
I second the motion.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Engel?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes. And last ordinance on introduction, 3146.
Yes, Mayor, finally, also on introduction, 3146-25 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 271 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Zoning and Development Regulations with respect to residential parking requirements. This ordinance will amend Article 5 zoning provisions of Chapter 271 of the Township Code to reduce the number of parking spaces required for residential uses.
I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on February 18th.
I'll second.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, thank you. And thanks, Mr. Daffis, for chairing the Code Committee with all this work, 4 out of the 5 ordinances. We spent a lot of time talking about them, and it's a lot of research and back and forth and very worthwhile. So it's
Thank you, Mayor. Thank
feels
you.
good.
Yeah, it's good to see it moving.
Yeah. We'll move to department reports. Mr. Wary.
No report, Mayor. Thank you.
No report from administration. Are you worn out from last?
Not at all. Go Vigorous.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Wary? Okay. I'll assume that was just accidental. Okay.
That was an accident.
Ms. Credidio, welcome back.
Thank you, Mayor.
With
No report.
No report from our attorney. All right, moving right along. Any questions for our attorney this evening? No. Okay, we'll move to Ms. Fritzen.
I have a report.
I know.
Mayor and Township Committee, I just wanted to report that concerning our polling locations, we've been approached, the township, by the school district to consider moving Columbia High School cafeteria polling location back to Clinton School from where we were originally before the Clinton School renovations began several years ago. So, you know, to that end, we're going to have a walkthrough of Clinton School next week with myself, the police department, our county officials. It is not a decision that the township or myself can make, but the county would certainly listen to what our recommendation would be. And we've made several recommendations over the years that the county has always accepted. But I have not seen what the renovations are and what they have in mind, whether or not we would be back in the gymnasium or it would be in one of the newer areas. So again, we have a walkthrough scheduled for Tuesday of next week. And I will let the Township Committee know what the decision is from there, what our recommendation will be to the Board of Elections.
Yes, I believe Superintendent Bing mentioned conflict for Election Day with prom.
Yeah, because the date was changed, and so there's a conflict that their building is, there's going to be students in the building at the high school that day, and so
Right.
that was the concern about moving it for,
So the thing is that once you move it, you move it.
yeah.
Move it.
So it's not like just this year.
Right, no, but I think that there's still, people still don't necessarily know that they don't vote at Clinton, that they vote at CHS, so it feels like going back to the original
Yeah.
location, your
Yeah.
concern. I mean, I think that the concern from the school district was that safety, and we always hear from the public about kids in the schools when public are coming into the schools, and the election primary date was moved late, and they already have prom scheduled for that evening, and we don't want to interfere with the festivities that these high school children, the high school youth get, taking photos at the high school. They do a lot of stuff at the high school to make it safe and to make everyone feel inclusive. Everyone meets there to take buses to the prom location. So it was just because of the date of the primary being moved that has caused
Yeah,
some
the
concern.
primary got moved, not the prom.
Right.
Is there a way to do it at the high school that would not interfere, like move it to the gym or something? It's just, it is going to be a problem for. it's
How
gonna
long has it
confuse
been at the
people.
high school?
Excuse me?
How long has the voting place been at the high school? Only since
Over probably 5 years.
5 years.
5 years?
Well, it's been 5 years.
But I
long
would
time.
say, and I've expressed this to several people, the parking was not great at Clinton School. The handicap accessibility, if that's maybe been
That's been
improved.
changed. That's been
That's
changed.
been changed.
But I mean, also if we're going to be in an elementary school gym again, it's
Too small.
tight.
It's way too small.
Okay, well, since it's not our decision, I'll leave it to the county to
Right, but
wa-
we
do the
can
walkthrough with
make
you.
recommendations, and that's why I called for the walkthrough next week.
Right. Okay, let us know how it goes.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
Nothing else.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Fritzen? Okay, with that, we'll move on to elected official reports. Committee Member Engel.
Thank you. So I thought I would use my township report to announce that I will not be seeking reelection for another term this year. This has been one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make because I've gotten such joy out of serving our community. Sorry, I might tear up.
you're all the count.
And I'm grateful to the voters in Maplewood that put your faith in me. I'm immensely proud of the work I've accomplished over the past 2 years and 1 month in this township committee position, like the Greenway. Every time I drive on Jefferson and pass it, I think I did that. I moved forward a project that had been stalled for 15-ish years, and here it is, an important connection that will one day link Maplewood and South Orange with bike and walking trails. I've spearheaded initiatives to bring our Maplewood and South Orange health departments together under the leadership of one health officer and to create the new position of public information officer. You can now follow us on Instagram at MaplewoodTWP. I fought hard to lower the cost of pool fees and expand weekend swim lessons for school-aged children, and I have reactivated the Youth Advisory Committee. And I look forward to continuing to work this year with Deputy Mayor Herman to add youth voices to more of our boards and committees, as we did here tonight. Because even though I'm announcing tonight that I will not seek re-election this year, there are still 11 months left in my service. And in these 11 months, there is still a lot of work to be done. Top on my list is to continue advocating for alternate transportation networks like bike lanes to make it easier and safer to move around Maplewood without the need for a car, so we can reduce traffic and improve pedestrian safety. For the next 11 months, I promise to continue to work collaboratively with my colleagues, listen to our community, and continue to be an independent voice in your government. And then in January 2026, I'm going to take a nice long break because while this job is fun and rewarding, it is also very time-consuming and doesn't feel sustainable for a single working mother. I'm also excited that my open seat will create opportunity for others to raise their hand and bring their unique voice to our government. It can be intimidating to run against an incumbent, but now the path is clear. I believe in competitive elections, giving voters a choice, and I hope that more than one candidate will seek this position and run in the primary. I'm happy to chat with anyone interested, and I encourage you to attend one of the FAQ forums being held by the Maplewood Democrats. I thank the community of Maplewood for your trust in me and the support and encouragement I have received from so many of you over the past years, and especially over the past few months. I thank my kids and their dad, Matt, for putting up with all the meetings and lending me out to Maplewood. And I thank my colleagues and the staff for all they put in to make Maplewood the best place to live. And I look forward to getting lots done together in the next 11 months. That is my report.
Thank you very much. I didn't know, so thank you for
Surprise.
that. Thank you, of course, for your service. So any questions or comments to Ms. Engel?
We're not going to say goodbye tonight.
No, we got 11 months to be together,
Yeah.
so we're good. Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Herman.
Well, I look forward to working with you for the next 11 months to accomplish all the things that we have been talking about for the last many, many years. And I was also going to outpoint the Instagram. Thank you for doing that. It's really been very active since our PIO started, Maplewood TWP. I'll say it again, because a lot of the activities that I was going to share tonight are posted on our Instagram. And a lot of programs, if you're not getting the weekly email from Recreation, go to our website and sign up for it. There's many other things that you can sign up for to get information from town. I'm going to point out just a few things that are new. Well, we have a last call for the senior social on February 11th, making heart-shaped pizzas. We have 2 new senior offerings coming up next month, a senior care workshop to make a bath and salt soak on March 5th, and a 2-day clay project. There's a new babysitting class, a new travel basketball, Mapso Madness, for boys and girls in age 3rd to 8th. Signups just started, and then this will start in April. There's a new ultimate camp that just opened. Signups are started. This is for intermediate and advanced skills in grades 7 to 11. So this gets with a lot of the youth programming that we've both been talking about. There's more spots that just opened up on our NFL flag football camp. And I just want to highlight our MAPSO Summer Slam basketball camp, because this is a really amazing camp that is organized in-house by our very own coach, Mike. So there are still spots. Please go check it out. And again, make sure you sign up for our rec department emails, because you can get all of this information to your emails and sign up for our amazing classes. And you can also follow Arts and Culture Maplewood. That is another Instagram that you can follow for all of the many, many Black History Month events that are coming up.
Oh, that's it?
That's
Oh,
it.
okay.
Any questions?
I thought you were going to keep going. Okay. Then questions for Deputy Mayor Herman? Passing it. I know, but yeah. It stops in the middle first. I have to intercept. No questions for Ms. Herman. Okay. Committee Member DeLuca, would you like to talk about Black History Month?
Yes, I have a few things. I think Mr. Weary gave me all his things so I could
You could have no report. He
be
doesn't
here
like.
so he could have no report and I'd be here for a half hour. So again, Black History Month is this month, and we do have a great lineup of activities. You can go to maplewoodartsandculture.org/MBHM and check out all the events. I'm just going to go through quick this week. Thursday night, we have Black Queer Readings. Friday night, Columbia Futurisms is a runway show. It's something new for us. Saturday, Akubra Fashions. They're doing a head wrap tying workshop.
Cool.
And then Sunday, we have the Georgia of the North, Black Women and the New Jersey Civil Rights Movement. And that's a book, and that'll be, you see it right there. So those are activities, and they go on and on, the week after, and the week after, and the week after, right through the 28th.
Right.
I want to give you a quick update on the South Essex Fire Department. This year, I am the chair of the management committee, and we are holding the first public budget meeting of the SEFD's short 1.5-year history. It'll be on Thursday, February 13th. It'll be a Zoom meeting at 7:30 p.m. We will be looking at the expenditures for 2024 and the proposed budget for 2025. Our goal is to adopt the budget on February 25th. And then we're planning to have a joint budget meeting of the governing bodies of each town. It'll be a Zoom meeting where we will do a courtesy presentation of the budget to the towns and be able to have some dialogue. And that's all before, and that'll be both the operating and the capital budget. And just quickly on some stats for 2024, we responded to about 5,000 incidents in the two towns. By far, the rescue emergency medical services were the most, 48% of all those calls. And as you know, Maplewood contracts with the South Essex Fire Department to provide EMS service in Maplewood. So the firefighters responded to about 1,600 EMS calls, and we had 378 mutual aid EMS calls. Most of those came from the South Orange Rescue Squad, somewhere in 300 plus vicinity. So we really thank them as our partner. And I know that, we've been working with them for years, and they have been coming to Maplewood with a fundraising letter. So please be generous and help them out, because they do provide services in Maplewood. I just want to go back to those statistics again. There were 82 fires in Maplewood and 99 fires in South Orange. And clearly we have to charge them by the fire, because we would get
During what period?
the whole year. 82 in Maplewood and 99 in South Orange. Now, of those, 8 of those were house fires.
Okay. You're going to define fires. Okay.
So that's 82 fires.
That's a lot of fires.
That's still a lot of fires. Those are car fires, dumpster fires, brush fires, cooking fires.
The dumpster fire thing.
Yeah, dumpster fires. And so, but structure fires, luckily we've only had 8, and South Orange had 9. We'd still do a good run of mutual aid to our surrounding towns as they come into our town when we need them. So that's part of the deal. We work together with them, and but SEFD is moving forward, and we're about to approve the contract, 5-year contract with the FMBA. I'm sorry, yes, FMBA and the Superior Firefighters. And so things are we're in a much better place right now. I wanted to, we've heard a lot about federal funding and the cancellation. So today, and we were worried about this a bit, our FEMA funding, our FEMA obligation for the library, which is $1.5 million, and we still have another $200,000 coming to us for some road construction up on off of Ridgewood. that money was being held, but luckily there was a court order.
Yes.
And so the court order, federal agencies cannot pause, freeze, impede, block, cancel, or terminate any awards or obligations on the basis of the OMB memo or on the basis of the president's recently issued executive orders.
For now.
For now.
When do we get the check?
Well, we won't get it until the work is done. So that's the problem. So,
Yeah.
hopefully, this is an obligation that the federal government made to our town and towns across the country. Grants, the Mikey Sherrill grant that we got, that's another one that's on this list. So we received commitments from the federal government to support this, and we're going to have to hold it to them. So let's hope that this is a permanent injunction. It doesn't get overruled in any way, shape, or form. It sounds like it may just stay in there. So we might be in good shape.
We need the courts to hold.
Over the years, we've received requests about overnight parking. We do make 4 lots, public lots available: Yale Street, Prospect Street, the Woodland, and Highland for overnight parking on a rental basis. I'm going to bring this up at Public Safety to consider adding D Hart and Maple Crest to that list. We do have people from both of those areas who are looking for some additional parking. Right now, it's called a Type A permit parking, which allows the permit holder to park daily in a township parking lot between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. For a Type A permit, it's, according to this, it's $240 a year for the first car. If there are additional cars, it's $600 per year.
Does that include the pool parking lot or no?
No, that's different. That's a different arrangement with the condo.
The condos, yes.
Interject, the 240 for that type A is on the street in front of your home. If you qualify, do not have a driveway. But the lot parking is $50 a month.
Okay, I think we have to.
We'll look at it.
Let's take a look at that, because that's not what the ordinance says. It says Type A and Type B are 240. So maybe this is, has to be revised. This goes back to 2018. So, but in any event, we're going to talk about it at Public Safety. And then lastly, I just wanted to let you all know that on our consent agenda, we have 7625, which is the credit policy, the resolution on the credit policy on the stormwater. We've made it clear that the credit applies to the following year. So at any time that you apply, whatever is the date that you get that approval of the credit, it applies to your bill for the next year. We did add a definition in a footnote of what a 10-year storm is. You can read it and still try to figure it out. It's a little hard. We made some other changes here and there. By doing this as a resolution, it allows us to modify it, to make changes. We don't have to come back in an ordinance. So it's a more dynamic process. And we're going to learn a lot this year. So having it as a resolution that allows us to make some modifications. For example, the copy that we have still has Arcadis in the header, in the footer rather. We have to take that out. So there's some things like that. But I think we tried to address everyone's concern, and I think we're moving forward with this. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for Mr. DeLuca? Okay, with that, we'll move to Committee Member Davis.
Thank you. I don't have a report, but I have one item I need to inform the public about.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. So I've been receiving a lot of emails and calls, as have other members of the LGBTQ community in leadership, from our families who have trans youth. Certainly, the Trump campaign demonized and attacked trans youth in particular, and President Trump is following on those promises. And so we have a lot of families who are concerned for their trans youth. They're concerned about their documentation. They're concerned about a lot of things. And now more than ever, it's important for support groups to become available, for people to gather, to share space together, and to, if necessary, where necessary, rather, receive other services. So I want to make note that this upcoming Sunday, there will be a free support group for trans youth this upcoming Sunday. It is available in hybrid, so you can show up in person or you can participate online. It's being organized by local partners and Spectrum Health. And if you want to get information about it, DM me, as the kids say, on Facebook or on Instagram. And I will provide those details for obvious reasons. We want this to be a very safe and secure support group for our trans youth. And I want to take the opportunity as well to highlight, I'm really proud of our Essex County LGBTQ Advisory Board. I've been a member since I became an elected official. And our amazing Essex County executive, Joe DiVincenzo, has been such a tremendous ally to our community. I just want to say that the board, along with the Office of LGBTQ Affairs of Essex County under the leadership of Joe D. and our chair, Reggie Bledsoe, today publicly, firmly supported the LGBTQ community and our trans and non-binary persons in Essex County and throughout New Jersey. And that sort of affirmation in this moment in time is really, really critical. It's a simple thing, but it's a powerful and meaningful thing. So I'm really proud of that. And I want people out there to know that. And again, DM me for information about this Sunday's free support group. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions for Committee Member Daffis? None. Okay, I have no report, so we'll move right into discussion items. We have authorization to apply for Sustainable Jersey grant. I vote yes.
Okay. So ironically, the master plan recommends that we create an environmental resource inventory, is what we're talking about, an inventory of all environmental resources along with information on their condition. And it talks about how this would be a useful document. And then the last sentence in this is funding is available to create the inventory through the Sustainable Jersey program. So even in the master plan, they're identifying. So I did speak to Mr. McCoy, who's the chair of our Environmental Advisory Committee. He concurs that we should do a new inventory. We haven't had one done since 2006. And also thinks that we should try to get this through Sustainable Jersey. So I just want to move that we authorize the township to apply for Sustainable Jersey grant.
I'll second. Ms. Fritzen?
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Engel?
Yes.
Furman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, thank you. Next is Ms. Engel, amendments to Environmental Advisory Committee ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, so we've been talking at the Environmental Advisory Committee about a couple of things. One is that we've had a longstanding chair, Mr. McCoy, and we've been talking about adding either a co-chair or a vice chair so that we can have two leaders, and we have someone who stepped up and we voted, so we wanted to change our ordinance to note that either a co-chair or a vice chair. And we've also been talking about adding additional members because we have a great core team of, I think, 10, and there hasn't been openings. And we feel like with the green team kind of being quiet and the Environmental Advisory Committee taking on more programming like cleaning the river, and we've been talking about Green Day events, that it might be helpful to add a couple of members to help out with community engagement and event producing, that kind of thing producing. As well, we weren't really sure what was happening with the green team or what was in that ordinance or resolution, and if there's anything in the green team ordinance or that the Environmental Advisory Committee should add to our ordinance. I suggested we talk about that Sustainable Maplewood with Mr. McCoy, but the Environmental Advisory Committee is gonna look at the ordinance to see if there's anything else that they wanna flag, and we'll bring it to the next meeting. But I just wanted to open up a conversation here to make sure you guys are okay with elevating a second chair or vice chair, and then that person can also be appointed to Sustainable Maplewood to take the place of the chair of the green team. And that way Mr. McCoy has a cohort
Yeah,
to collaborate with.
I like it.
So
I'm in favor.
So we'll, our committee will go back and see if there's any other changes for the ordinance. We'll send them around and then we will put that on for the next.
Okay, did you want to put it on, for next reading? You want to work with Ms. Cordelia about?
Yeah, we'll work. It'll either be the next meeting or the one following. I'll talk to the,
Okay.
because we meet the fourth Wednesday. So we'll
So probably
confer
just
and come back to you all to let you know if it's going to be in the, the
Okay,
next meeting or
great.
the March.
Fair enough. Great. I think it's a great idea to expand the membership, especially with everything going on and the green team's sort of not around right now, so.
And we have a lot of really activated and
Yeah.
excited people on Environmental Advisory Committee, and there's been people who've been wanting to join Environmental Advisory Committee, so I think it's a great opportunity to bring sustainable emissions to our community.
Great, thank you for that. Vic, or Mr. DeLuca, sorry.
We have a
We have
protocol
decorum.
here. We have a protocol. Yeah,
Yes.
decorum, yes. Decorum, you know. Please.
We do. Recognizing first.
Yeah, so I was struck maybe a year ago or more. We had an individual come here, and she was sitting in the audience. Then she finally came up here, and the first thing she said is, I look around here, and she's African American, and she said, none of these murals reflect me, I don't see anybody who looks like me on the murals. And I mean, the murals are wonderful, and the building is wonderful, but the murals represented a different time than now. And the plaques we have out in the hall, obviously, Mr. DeHart, Mayor DeHart was the first mayor, and then Mayor Grasmere, who was a mayor for a very long
White
time.
men.
I had two more white men, and we used to have this in the Duran Hedden room, where I used to call it the dead white man's room. And then we changed it, and we put up some contemporary pictures when I was on the library board earlier, not in this iteration, but and we changed it, and it just changed the whole feeling of the room. So anyway, I thought, we have these, we're talking about Black history. Next month, we're going to talk about women's history. We have LGBT Pride Month coming up. We have Hispanic Month coming up. And I was really thinking of people who had cycled off the Township Committee. So it's no offense to
Of course.
first sitting on the Township.
Of course.
That was
None taken.
But so anyway, I thought what we ought to do is put together a small group that could figure out how to tastefully make some changes, whether it's in this room, it's in the lobby, it could be in our meeting room where we have, except for what Mr. Weary pointed out, almost duplicates of what's in here. But anyway, change up a little bit of what we're doing. We have Dr. J. Harry Smith, who was the first African-American on the Township Committee, served one term. He is a first in many ways. First at Georgetown University Law School. He was the first to be appointed to the Seton Hall University Board of Trustees. First college president, African-American college president, Essex County College. And, so it's just something that I think we ought to just see him as first. Ken Pettis was the first African-American mayor. He served 5 years on the Township Committee, 1 year as mayor. Theodora Bucklad was the first woman to serve on the Township Committee.
And that's when it was all Republican. Was she
And-
the first Democrat?
She was not the first Democrat, no. And she served, and this was 1989 was the time we were the first woman.
Wow.
You figured the vote was 1929, 60 years before
That's
a
crazy.
woman got on the Township Committee.
Amazing.
So anyway, and then Ellen Davenport was the first female mayor and served for 4 years, served total of 12 years on the Township Committee, 4 years as mayor. So
I'm the first female mayor in the 21st century.
you are. You're certainly the first female mayor.
There you go. There you go.
Decorum, but Nancy, yeah. So anyway, I thought that maybe to sort of supplement what it's a rich history, and it's really a great history, but to
Right.
supplement the history, which kind of ends in the 1950s,
Right.
to have something more contemporary, recognizing some of the other firsts. We have Seth Boyd and Asher Durand and all those people who were like really stars. Well, these four people I just mentioned are really stars because they broke through the barriers.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what my proposal is. And if we want to do something like this, then I think we put together a little group. I'd like to bring in some of the historic preservation folks, maybe a couple of them who have recycled off because they worked on this building here, and maybe some other people,
Maybe
and
League
just,
of Women Voters.
yeah, maybe, and just put together just a little thought of how to do this tastefully.
I'd recommend including our arts and culture manager.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Because she has a lot of experience with exhibits and whatnot.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
that's
Anybody have any
wonderful.
Objection, since I think.
No, I think it's a great idea. And
It's
thank you, Mr.
wonderful.
DeLuca, for
Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
I love it. I remember, I know exactly what you're talking about because I remember when that statement was made. And since then, I've been going around and looking at all of these pictures, and they're beautiful. And it, seeing like the 4th of July and some of the things that we do, like the fireworks, and but yeah, it is portraying a different time. And I think this is a really, really nice suggestion.
Okay, we'll move forward. Mr. Wary,
Thank you,
joint
Mayor.
meeting?
Yes, so we have an option regarding our a capital request from the joint meeting of Essex Union County, where we have our sanitary sewer waste go to. They have assessed an $887,924 capital assessment. They've given us options for how we want to finance that. Mr. Kaloje, the CFO, had provided the Township Committee a memo January 19th outlining the 4 options available to us. And I had followed up with a recommendation that the township fund the amount by loaning ourselves a 0% interest loan and then paying it back in the years 26, 27, and 2028. And we would raise the money to repay that loan with an added assessment on our sewer utility ratepayers in those years. And so that's my recommendation to the Township Committee. We have to give an answer to the joint meeting about if we want to use their financing or our financing. We give that answer to them now, and then we have some time still to assess exactly how we want to finance ourselves. But as we're going through the budget process, it helps us to have some clarity for how we'll handle this. And again, that's my recommendation.
And we need to let them know by when?
We're going to let them know after the meeting if
After
we
this
will-
meeting?
After this meeting, that's right. After we will be financing through the joint meeting.
So
and
the
they-
joint meeting, it won't be a 0% interest?
No, they fund through the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank.
Right.
Currently, that rate is 6%, which is higher than the most recent note sale that we had, and certainly higher than the 0% loan to ourselves. And that rate is subject to change. And so that is part of the reason why the CFO had recommended we finance ourselves. But then we have 3 options on financing ourselves, which both the CFO and I had laid out. And the most advantageous of those, I believe, is loaning the money to ourselves this year and then paying it back with an assessment again in the next 3 years.
Okay, so it wouldn't affect the sewer bill for the residents this year?
That's right. That's right. It would start next year. And if we spread it out across 3 years, the impact is around $30 per year per ratepayer.
And didn't we raise it a few years ago for another capital project?
Yes.
You did.
And have the residents finished paying that off? So, or would this be in addition to?
They have finished paying that off.
Okay. Okay. So we have time to think about, I mean, I'd be in favor of loaning ourselves at 0%.
Agree.
Yeah, I go
So-
with your recommendation.
Yeah.
And then we'll dig into the other stuff with regard to the residential burden.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
But good questions on that, though.
Huh?
Yeah. Good questions on that.
Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions? No? Okay. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I move the adoption of the consent agenda.
I'll second. Ms. Fritzen?
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, thank you. It's time for our public comment on any subject matter. There's no one in the room, Mr. Ware. Is there anyone on Zoom?
Any public joining on Zoom would like to speak in public portion, please raise your hand now. I see no hands, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Sengel?
Yes.
Sermon?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes, thank you. We'll be reconvening on February 18th. Have a good night, everybody.